everybody in the comments below, what do you think is the best way to describe or the best title for this final segment? The Terrible Twos or the Bottom Line? And really
I think I'm probably finally ready to give up on the Terrible Twos, and let's just call it the Bottom Line.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what they say. WandaVision is Marvel's version of I Love Lucy meets Bewitched.
WandaVision is a slow burn, I'm sure.
Well, mine's similar to both of y'all. I'll say WandaVision is a misleading start with subtle clues to where it's going.
Ooh. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, the podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to. With us, as always, by the way, today we are doing WandaVision, the big Marvel Studios WandaVision episode 1, entitled Episode 1. With us, as always, the cream to my wheat, the snow to my flake, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg.
Hey, everyone. That's me.
We're also joined by, boy, oh boy, the Dean of Natural Sciences at Duke University. He's also a Star Trek consultant, and he is a podcaster. He's got his own show with a Star Trek actor or actress. We won't get into it too much, but we will talk about it later. Dr. Mohamed Noor.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yay.
Well, this is it. Now it's time to talk about WandaVision, right?
Yep, finally.
So here we go. First thing we do, first things first, probably my favorite part of this entire show, and the rest is just kind of like whatever. We predict. These are our predictions. Everybody in the chat, the live chat, make your predictions. How do you think I felt about it? How do you think Michael felt about it? How do you think Dr. Mohamed Noor felt about it? So we'll all make our predictions. I predict, Michael, that before we hit record, I predicted that you would be tepid on it. Like you are going to be kind of almost average, but less than average on liking it, below average. Now, based on a couple facial hints you've made once we did hit record, I feel like I'm going to move that needle down a little bit more into the dislike direction. Mohamed, I think that, you're a glass half full guy, but I think you enjoyed it, but are more excited for what may come than you were about this first episode. What do you think, Michael?
I think that Ryan did not enjoy this first episode, but I do think that he was intrigued by the idea of it. But thought that maybe it was insisting upon itself. Dr. Mohamed Noor, I think he liked it for what it was, but he's really excited about what it could be.
Great. So I predict that Ryan didn't particularly like it and may or may not follow on it at all. I predict for Michael that liked it a little bit, you're willing to explore a little further.
Mike is a very curious fellow.
Yeah.
I get curiouser and curious.
So everybody make your predictions. We will answer those predictions very, very, very soon. But everybody is also asking, what the heck is this show even about? So how will I even know how to make a prediction unless I know what it's about?
I think I've got the solution to that. I can tell you what it's about.
So you can tell us about the show or about the episode?
About both. So WandaVision blends the style of classic sitcoms with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in which Wanda Maximoff and Vision, two superpowered beings living their ideal suburban lives, begin to suspect that everything is not as it seems. In this episode, Wanda and Vision struggle to conceal their powers during dinner with Vision's boss and his wife.
That is what it was about.
That's exactly it. Very good.
Spot on. Yeah, great job, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's actually a better understanding of it than I had at the end of watching it.
So next, we compare and contrast what we expected, good segue, Mohammed, and what we actually got. Michael, before we watched WandaVision, what did you expect?
Well, I knew that it was Marvel, number one. I knew who both Wanda and Vision were. Wanda is the Scarlet Witch.
Wrong way.
Her twin brother died sometime during, I think,
Ultron.
Maybe. Oh, was it Ultron? That's
So.
Voltron?
Ultron.
Oh.
Well, also Vision was created by Ultron and had Infinity Stone implanted in his forehead. And he had his programming was basically Jarvis. They took, I mean, it's the same voice too. Like Paul Bettany did the voice of Jarvis, and then they made him Vision. So I knew about all that. I knew about who these two were, and I knew that they were in a relationship. They talk about it in Infinity War and Endgame. And I had seen a trailer, and I knew that there was some kind of like 50s sitcom woven into it. I didn't know if that there was just those was a creative choice that they were making with the trailer or what. So, but that's what I was expecting.
Right. Now, Mohammed, without getting into what you got just yet, what did you expect before you watched it?
So again, I'm like Michael. I knew about Wanda and Vision. I mean, I'd seen the Marvel Cinematic movies. I knew their backstories. I knew this was going to have them. I erroneously thought, given that Vision was in it, that this was set prior to Infinity War and Endgame and things like that. So I thought maybe this isn't that period where they were just hanging out together. I'd heard vaguely, I hadn't seen any previews, which actually I'm kind of glad I hadn't, because I went in really blind. I went in thinking it was going to be them just, hanging out. And I'd heard that there was some sort of comedic aspect, but I didn't really understand what it was. So it was a little surprising then seeing the actual episode.
Well, I'll tell you what I expected. Actually, this is perfect. I expected this. I expected, some of this and some of this. I didn't read anything about it, or I may have accidentally seen a trailer and image, but we know who Wanda and Vision are. I've seen all the Marvel stuff, and I expected this. But that's what we expected. What did we get, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg?
I got a show that. So first of all, it's worth noting that this is a half-hour comedy. It's only a half hour long, so I was expecting an hour actually also. So I'll just go back to what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting an hour-long show. And what I got was a half-hour comedy, as Ryan kind of said, in the vein of like I Love Lucy or
Bewitched.
Or it was very much Bewitched.
My Three Friends, or
I Dream of Jeannie.
My Three Sons, or I Three Dream of Jeannie, or what was it? What was the one with the?
What was this one in the 80s?
That was Out of This World. That's nothing to do with what we're talking about.
But it's 80s. It's like a magic person in a sitcom.
Okay, that makes all right. But this is like a 50s sitcom though. This is like what was it? Donna Reed. Those kinds of things. So it's like everything's very prim and proper. All the furniture is mid-century, and all the jokes are like right on point too, because they're kind of like, "Oh, my husband with his indestructible head," and "What a pair we make," and like all the crappy laugh track and stuff like that. But I did also, like Mohammed hinted at, felt that this was the beginning of a slow burn. Like I said, they're building up to something that they didn't show us. I mean, they showed us very little of it in the first episode. Like at the very, very end. I mean, first of all, you see like Vision changing his head to be like a normal human to blend in with society. But at the very end, you see it's like they're in like a surveillance van, and like somebody's watching this WandaVision show on TV. Is almost as if he's keeping tabs on these two.
What did you get, Mohammed?
I mean, I felt like I was just watching an episode of Bewitched, and since I didn't know where it was going, I almost thought like, is this the whole show? Is this what's going to be happening? I was very confused at the end, and it's interesting, the things that were supposed to be clues. Maybe I was just being dense. I think there were supposed to be clues. I just found them as puzzling bits, like the scene when they were having dinner and they sort of got stuck. I don't know if you remember that, where it kept on repeating like, "Stop it, stop it," and the guy was choking, and everybody's just staring at you like, "What's happening?" Like, what? I mean, I didn't understand what was happening there.
More on that later, because I do want to talk about that for sure.
I also didn't really pick up. I mean, I noticed that they didn't seem to remember their anniversaries, but I wasn't sure how much of that was cover or how much of it is they didn't really have an anniversary because they're kind of a weird couple, versus actually that they're not truly remembering things aside from the weird heart on the calendar. So I mean, I felt like the hints were very subtle. So I mean, I remember at the end thinking like, what is this? So I was very surprised.
Yeah. I'll tell you, again, what I expected was this, the black and white and the Marvel. What I got was this.
Yeah.
This is what I got. I got all of this and none of this.
Well, there was a little bit of that at the end.
Well, you could do with this or you could do with that. Anyway, so that's what I expected and got. And spoiler, it fucking sucked. It sucked. It was terrible. And
all right, I knew it. I mean, you didn't like it.
Look, you guys, look. I'm sorry. Look. There were like moments, like in life and anything that's bad or something going on. There are like moments of realization for how bad it is, where you go, oh, it's not that bad. And then you go, well, is it that bad? And then it gets a little worse. And you're like, wow, maybe it's even this bad, or maybe it's even this bad. And within the first few minutes, I was like, I even put in like the fifth line, I say, oh my God, I'm going to die if the whole show is like this. Because it just kept going. And it's like, it was like the guy at the party that is drunk and tells the same joke over and over again. And he knows, he or she, usually a he knows that the joke is annoying you, which makes it even funnier to him. So he keeps repeating the same joke over and over and over again. And you just want to get away from the guy. That's what it was like for me.
Well, that makes me laugh.
I wanted to
see what I think that you're missing is that it was supposed to be bad. It's bad on purpose.
Right. But if it's supposed to be bad for an entire episode, then mission accomplished. And I didn't like it.
That's a risky move for a series to have a bad first episode, because it's like, okay, who's
we
keep
do
watching?
Talk about shows that are confident in a pre-existing franchise. This is exactly that.
Yeah.
Because they know, hey, people are going to watch us no matter what.
People are committed.
If this was not Marvel, if this was not Wanda and Vision, if this was just Joe and Sally and a new upstart thing,
they'd be dead.
It would be judged much more harshly, or they would have to move it along more quickly.
But I'll say this, though, that's kind of one of the things that they're banking on is the whole backstory behind Wanda and Vision, that you know who these two characters are, that you're going in this with a pre-existing understanding of who they are and what their relationship is and what powers they have. But I want to go back to talking about the dinner party when they're kind of like, oh, where did we come from? What is our anniversary? I think they really don't. I think they legitimately don't remember.
Yeah,
right. I think that they were placed into this fantasy world as like a holding pattern.
Yeah.
For something. But my question is,
like the Truman Show?
Maybe, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Do you guys watch Legends of Tomorrow at all?
No.
Oh, okay.
But WTF Legends of Tomorrow.
No, nice. you don't want to do that.
We did forget to say, if you want us to review a show, everybody, please in the comments section below say WTF Legends of Tomorrow or WTF Highlander. And that stands for Watch the First, and we will review it and we will say, hey, this was suggested to us by Mohamed Noor. Anyway, please.
No, definitely not. Not suggested. Legends of Tomorrow is not a show any show should ever aspire to be like. No offense to the show.
And please give us a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But my question to you guys, though, is Mohamed kind of brought it up. Like, when does this take place in the timeline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yeah.
My theory is that it takes place either like after everything, and they just are kind of like trying to save Vision's program from being completely deleted because he's like completely wiped out once Thanos takes the Infinity Stone out of his head. But then I was also thinking like maybe it's like that moment like right like because doesn't Scarlet Witch or no I haven't seen these movies in a little bit, but they like rewind time or something like that to bring Vision back, but then he still takes the Infinity Stone out. Isn't that so?
Yeah, Infinity Stone's gone. So
my thinking was that it might have been like in that moment that when they brought him back for a second or something, but
yeah, I don't know if it's established when it is. I go into it blind, but Mohamed, you're saying that it's not established. They haven't said this takes place here or there. They're just saying, hey, watch it and find out.
So I found some website which claimed it was happening after Endgame, but like in the show, I mean, there was no indication there at all.
Right.
The reason I brought up Legends of Tomorrow is there was an episode, I think, last season, which was basically exactly this, where all the superheroes were stuck in some TV show. So some were stuck in Downton Abbey, some were stuck in Star Trek, and they just it was basically the same plot. But again, like that's not a show you should ever aspire to be. I mean, the reason Legends of Tomorrow is good is that it's so bad and it laughs at itself. So yeah, I don't know that you want to be like
the 10th episode or something, 15th episode. Watch the 15th of this show.
I do want to take
Star Trek.
I do want to take a second, by the way, to mention that Elizabeth Olsen is very good.
Yeah,
she's very good. She's got it down pat with her reactions and her delivery. Great. This dude,
Paul Bettany.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about him beforehand.
He's great. Yeah,
I've seen a lot of good movies.
He wears his pants very high, but that's maybe a 50s choice.
Right.
but you know, whatever. I mean, I guess he's fine. I'd have to look more closely, but she was excellent. She nailed it. You know, kudos to her. And Michael and probably Mohamed, you guys will know this. The boss and his wife, both of them were familiar faces to me, but I couldn't place them because I don't like looking anything up.
Well, the wife she played Kitty on that 70s show.
I thought so. I'd never seen that 70s show.
She's been in a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
The guy, I don't really remember like too much of what he was in. I do know he was in like the first season of the Mindy Project. He played like the head doctor of the practice that she worked at. So.
Definitely recognized him. Maybe
they're both like pretty established character actors. I think. Like I'm sure. I know that the lady who plays Kitty and the wife, she's been in a ton of different stuff. But the main role that like both my wife and I were both like, hey, it's Kitty. Like when we saw her. But then also Catherine Hahn, who plays like the neighbor.
Oh yeah.
She was great. She was in Parks and Rec. She was in Anchorman. She was in Step Brothers. She's been in a ton of great stuff, and she's a hilarious actor.
She did a good job too.
She really stood out to me, honestly. The neighbor. Yeah. She stood out as somebody that was very good. I didn't know who she was. I didn't recognize her. Anybody stand out to you, Mohamed?
Right, the neighbor. Yeah, I thought she was the best in the.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
Really, Michael? I thought you would like Kitty Hawk from.
No, she was good, but I mean the neighbor, Catherine Hahn is just one of these actors that every comedic role she's in, she just nails it completely. She gets the character, and she gets the comedy behind the character, and she nails it. So, have you seen the movie Step Brothers, Ryan?
Yes, I have, and it's a good one.
I have not.
So she plays, what is it, like John C. Reilly's brother's wife? Or no, Will Ferrell's brother's wife. And then she ends up like sleeping with John C. Reilly. I don't know. She's a great character. Have either of you? I know Ryan probably hasn't seen Parks and Rec. Have you seen Parks and Rec, Mohamed?
Oh yeah. I watched the whole thing for that.
Yeah, she plays like the Paul Rudd's campaign manager,
Okay, I didn't
when he's
remember
running
that,
against Leslie Knope for the city council.
Yeah.
And she's like a dirtbag, but she's also like very friendly too. Like, so that's such a great character. And then this character, she's a quintessential 50s neighbor.
She was perfect.
Yeah.
Even just I guess the direction and stuff, the way they were interacting, like in the kitchen, for example, that scene, like they were on point. I mean, it was just perfectly executed by both of them there. So that was really
that kitchen reminded me of the I Love Lucy kitchen.
Yeah,
totally.
It was huge too.
The long shutter things reminded me of Brady Bunch. Remember how they had the shutters there between their little living room area? Not their. Well, I guess they had sort of two living rooms. They had one on one side, one on the other side, but one of them had the shutters in between them.
So my question is, they had this black and white sitcom, tongue-in-cheek, ha ha ha, we get it, meta thing throughout the entire episode. What the is wrong with having it just in the first scene and then moving forward in the story?
Exactly.
That's the burning question to me is, okay, we get it, but when are we going to move on?
Yeah.
Or is this the entire series forever? And they're just like, isn't it great? It's retro and funny and meta. Yeah,
Bewitched
for like
is back.
5 minutes.
I'm with you completely, Ryan. I thought that after I found out that was the direction they're going, I actually thought the whole series might be like that. And I was shocked. Like, really? They're just going to have Bewitched, but now with Vision and Wanda? What?
Yeah, is Marvel just expanding now? They're just like, well, we want to do this kind of stuff now.
No,
this
I think that was a strategic mistake.
This is the world that they live in, though.
Yeah.
This is where they've been placed. And I think we're going to see more clues about it's going to be a slow burn. And I know Ryan hates that.
It should have burned faster.
Ryan hates it. Ryan wants to be told everything. He wants to be served a platter of here's what the show is and here's the information.
Well, for an entire first episode, there needs to be more than a gimmick repeated for 30 minutes. Like this, that's not writing. That's writing with a D, writing a gimmick all the way,
I feel like the points you guys raised earlier in the context of them just assuming that because it's Marvel, people are going to keep watching. That was a big gamble on this. Because, I mean, in theory, some people could be watching and just thinking like, oh, what is this? And watch like, I don't want to watch Bewitched anymore. I can just watch the actual show. It's still saved.
Well, one thing
the hits were a little too subtle. They should have just made it a little bit more bang you in the head in the last, say, 10 minutes. Have more things like, wait, what's going on? And then being puzzled, but more obviously puzzled because things don't actually fit as opposed to just, I don't remember Anniversary. Okay, whatever.
Well, they did release the first 2 episodes at once.
I didn't watch the second, though.
By the way. Well, don't tell us yet.
I did not watch it.
It doesn't mean that he won't. It just means that he didn't yet.
But so maybe that was part of their strategy is they're like, look, we know that this, and it's also a half hour too.
Definitely.
So maybe people are going in expecting to watch an hour-long show, and they're like, okay, well, this first half hour is over, but at the very end, they give you a little
very, very little.
A little nip. Yeah. What's going to become?
They like while you're sleeping, they pull out a nose hair, just a little zip.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little clue about what's to come, where they rip out all of your nose hair later.
I missed that it was a van. You mentioned it was a van. Like I missed it. I saw that like somebody was watching.
It looked like a van. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was just like they were like in a building surveilling them or something like that. So.
I thought it was a boat.
Oh,
I don't know what it was.
Okay.
So Mohamed, you earlier brought up the scene where the lady Kitty Hawk from that 70s show was like saying, what'd she say? Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it. To me, that was head and shoulders the best part of this whole episode. Even though the episode was about the redundant nature of using the same gimmick over and over again, but doing a joke over and over again that's just freaking weird for an entire minute. Especially because it was tone deaf. At first, she's just like, stop it. Stop, like, oh, maybe he's joking. But when he's actually on the floor and whatever, I thought that at least her mood would change into a panic, like, stop it, stop it. And I thought she would deliver it differently, but no, she kept delivering it like, oh, you little rascal, I'm so embarrassed, And that was so weird.
It was very weird.
That it was like, it was great. I'm like, cool, give me something interesting and weird and funny I actually rewound it and watched it 3 times.
Wow.
That was the only thing. Every single other second of that show, I just wanted to fast forward. I usually will rewind things like 20 times to make sure I catch everything. This one only once. This is the first time, only one time did I rewind something, because I truly, after 5, 7, 8 minutes, I truly just wanted to just skip through. I'm like, okay, I get it. If this is all it is, then there's nothing more for me to watch, because I'm not watching it for that old 50s sitcom aspect. I don't care what happens.
Like the
with him
lobster
and his
scene
boss.
as the knocker.
Don't care about that. We want to
Just
know
kidding.
how this affects Vision and Wanda in the actual cinematic universe.
Well, I think that was like the first hint, the first clue that something's not right here. And especially like after all that happened, they just kind of go on like nothing happened. They're like, oh, see you at the office tomorrow. We'll talk about that promotion. But it kind of tells you that Wanda and Vision are in this world where the world's kind of working around them, but their interaction with the world really doesn't have an effect on that world.
Yeah.
And you do mention the boss going back to work. That was the other moment that stood out to me that I did enjoy, was when he was asking the people at work, what do we do here? Well, we make stuff, we look at figures. Yeah, but for what? Well, we create. About that was funny. That was good.
That was funny.
Tongue-in-cheek humor, yeah.
Yeah, I had a note about, I have a note just saying cryptic job in my notes. Like, what is this job?
What are your favorite parts, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg?
Well, I guess there's the old classic sitcom trope where they're on the phone and they're like, we're on the same page. We both know what we're talking about, right?
So my note says typical misunderstanding plot.
Yeah.
Hi, Three's Company. WTF Three's Company.
Three's Company. Ryan would love that. Yeah. So like he thinks that she knows that it's the boss is coming over for dinner, and then she thinks that he knows that it's their anniversary or something like that, and then they get there and like she's all dressed up in like a I don't want to say sheer, maybe sheer for the 50s, kind of a sheer like 50s sexy outfit that still covers up everything, but and she comes up behind the boss and is like, guess who? So that was kind of funny. I like that they had that kind of whole misunderstanding, but I don't know. I know it's kind of a lame, been done a million times before, but I still got a chuckle out of it.
Mohamed, did you have some favorite momes?
So I did used to like the show Bewitched. So just as kind of like, oh, look, it's a new rendition of Bewitched, which I found very weird, very surprising. I didn't hate it. I mean, I don't know that I would have. Well, I shouldn't go there yet. But I found it interesting, and just like some of the words they say, like a Cracker Jack magazine article, like Cracker Jack magazine. Okay, I haven't heard an expression like that in a long time. But I agree with what Ryan said. I mean, the most interesting part, and the only thing I commented to my wife about afterwards, was that scene in the middle. Because everything else was kind of like, okay, we're watching Bewitched again. Just need to do the exactly.
Ryan?
Well, I just mentioned the 2 scenes that I like. One was that weirdo lady saying "stop it." That was a big win for me. Yeah. And then the guy asking about work. That was fun. I'd be hard pressed to find any other moment in there that
you enjoyed at all,
was even vaguely interesting that I can think of. No. Not even the
getting a low score from Ryan.
Not even the nearly 8-minute credits, by the way. Like when
it's really long. I was waiting for an after credit scene.
Yeah, it stopped at 22 or 23 minutes. Yeah. And I was like, my first thought was, oh wow, what luck.
Yeah.
It stopped way sooner than I thought. I thought I had way more longer to go. And I was like, oh, there must be like I thought there was going to be 30 seconds of credits, and then we get like this 6 or 7 minute cool, like now here comes Tony Stark flying in and there's bad monsters. And I was like, cool, we're going to get a 6-minute thing. But what we got was almost 8 minutes of credits on purpose, mind you. Right?
Yeah.
Well, why is it on purpose?
There's probably
yeah.
a lot of people that went into making this. I mean, it's a Marvel TV show. So I mean,
Yeah, but who does?
well, first of all, you've got a lot of special effects with like Vision changing his face and all the magic that Wanda's like having things fly around. And
I didn't think that effect with the things flying around was especially compelling. I mean, maybe it was just me, but like when the scene with everything sort of stirring there in the air, I mean, it honestly looked about like what it would have looked like in Bewitched.
Right, but to make something look that old and crappy, they have to put a lot of work into that, I think.
Do you think they're going to have 8 minutes of credits in every episode?
Yeah, I'm sure. Also, they might not be that all those people worked on just only this one episode.
Right.
I'm sure
That's
that
what
there's
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's a
crediting
good point.
people
That's
throughout
a good
the
Series
whole
point.
credits,
series.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Still, I mean, there are shows that have plenty of people working on them that don't have 8 minutes of credits, that still do it in 30 seconds or even a minute, you know.
Well, I think that a lot of people just don't get credited.
Or like in Battlestar Galactica, where they flash it through so fast you can barely see them.
Yeah, that's how most shows, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you guys like the credit scene, or did you think that
I didn't watch it.
I'll tell you, I
just
thought it was
I fast forward to find if there was an after scene. There wasn't.
Yeah,
like,
I was
done.
definitely wondering if there was going to be an after scene. You know how Marvel gets you. But
Yeah.
one thing that I
Exactly.
enjoy, another thing that I enjoyed is the like halfway through there was like a commercial for a toaster
Oh, yeah.
from Stark Industries.
Yeah.
But then there was
I forgot
something
about that.
sinister about the toaster. It was making like a weird noise, like it was going to be a bomb or something. And then the toast pops up.
And it's like,
from Stark
it's
Industries.
okay, it's fine.
And it cooked weird stuff too. It wasn't just toast. Like in the examples, they had a whole bunch of other things. Like, whoa, okay, this is kind of a weird toaster here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the commercial was cool.
Yeah, I
it was
forgot about
fine.
that.
It
That's a good
was interesting. There was only one because I was like, uh-oh, are they going to do this like a lot? You know, like, is this going to be more stuff that I don't care about? But no, they did it once. That's cool. They could even do it once per episode. That's cool, right? And I feel like everybody that lived through the 50s must have felt like it was reminiscent. I feel like there was some authenticity in the delivery and the camera angles and the sitting on the actress's face for way too long. You know what I mean? Like where she would go like, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And it just like sits there on her face. I'm like, this feels very reminiscent of old crappy 50s, you know, commercials where they didn't really know what the hell they were doing yet.
Totally fair points.
Well, I guess we almost kind of touched on it, but let's knock it out of the park. Who are your favorite characters?
Neighbor, definitely. 100%.
Neighbor and Boss's wife, obviously. Like,
not Wanda nor Vision.
Oh, they're both good. Yeah, I'm just talking about this first episode.
Yeah, we haven't seen enough of them in this. I mean, obviously, I'm biased on them because I think of the previous movies, but I mean, we haven't seen enough of them doing stuff in this yet. So it'll be.
I mean, just as a superhero, Vision is one of my favorite superheroes from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Period.
Would. Really?
Second only to Doctor Strange, I think.
So he's second out of the dozens?
I think so. I mean, Black Panther's up there too. They might be like top 3.
Wow. What about you, Mohammed? Is he that high up for you?
No. I had to think for a second. Vision. Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
not that high up at all.
No,
he was okay. I mean, I don't mind him, but he was okay.
But that's true. I also, watching Avengers, didn't like the Vision story. I'm like, okay, you can make an AI computer, you can make something sentient. Okay, I'm willing to go that far. But then to be like, they've combined like whatever it was, a stone with an AI computer, and now it's just a complete dude that just walks around and has a personality and is totally normal, is out living his life. He doesn't even need a hollow emitter. There's like, I was just like, my little nerd brain was like, I can't go along with this kind of character. I can't do it.
That you can't go along with. But the God of Thunder coming down from the heavens, that you're fine with that.
Well, that's different because that's George Kirk.
True. Good point.
Mike rolls his eye. Hey, look, Hey, Lower Decks. Shout out to Star Trek Lower Decks. Speaking
Yay,
of Star Trek, George Kirk of the Kelvin. Yeah, man. No, the Vision guy, I
like Paul Bettany, so that makes me like him more.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
if it wasn't Paul Bettany, I'd be like whatever, completely whatever
Right.
on him. But given it's Paul Bettany, and I've seen him in so many other movies that I really liked, like okay.
what else has he done?
I was trying to remember this. I know I used to see him in a lot of movies, but they were all like
the
15,
one
20 years
movie
ago. So it's hard to remember
I
what
think
they
I
were.
first saw him in was he played Chaucer
IMDb.
in The Knight's Tale. He played Geoffrey Chaucer.
I remember A Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
That movie sucked too, didn't it?
I liked it, though. I liked it.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
He also he played some psychos too in some
Nice.
movies. Yeah. He was in also he played like a psycho monk in was it the Angels and Demons or something or the Da Vinci Code, one of those movies.
Yeah, Da Vinci Code. You're right. That's exactly what it was. Legion. He was in Legion too.
Right. Yeah. No, he's a great actor. He is a really, really good Polish actor.
Oh yeah, he was in A Beautiful Mind. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, he played one of those.
Yeah.
He is a
imaginary
beautiful
people
mind.
spoilers.
Yeah.
He is one.
And Knight's Tale was the other one too. Yeah. I remember there was a lot of movies seeing like about 15, 20 years ago. I just couldn't remember what they were.
Another thing is, how come they called it WandaVision and not Scarlet Vision?
Because her name is Wanda.
But isn't she like Scarlet Witch or something?
The Scarlet Witch, but her name is Wanda Maximoff.
Yeah, but then Vision he doesn't have an alias. He's just Vision all the way
He's
through.
just Vision, yeah.
Vision.
That's who he is.
I guess they could call it Wanda Jarvis.
Vision. Yeah.
Huh. It's also confusing. I also did notice something almost from the very beginning that I did think was funny, was that right when they walk in, I couldn't help but notice that Wanda had big pointy things jutting out of her chest. And I was like, boy, their attention to detail on this stuff, like they tried to extremify it, like be like, remember how we used to have super pointy cone things here? Let's make them even more super pointy, weird cone things.
What kind of things?
I guess a bra? I mean, right?
What was Vision holding at the end when he was kissing Wanda? I actually froze and tried to see, and I couldn't quite tell what he was holding.
I thought it was the remote control.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, I couldn't tell. I could see he
back
was
in the
reaching for
50s,
something.
they had these huge remote controls that are like, you might as well just be holding a box.
Oh, okay. What was the remote control to? Like TV or something? Or
Yeah.
Okay. Why was he hitting that while he was kissing her?
Because they were going to watch TV together. That's what they sat down to do, is to watch TV.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Can't believe I have to explain this to a doctor.
Sorry, I'm a dense doctor.
You're busy thinking about more important things, probably.
Here was another note I made, was when she said, when she was talking to the neighbor, and the neighbor says, you should stumble so he can catch you. Yeah. That's romantic. I was like, okay, that's funny. That's romantic. But then at that point I said, oh my goodness, it really is going to be like this for the entire episode. Gross. That was when I realized, I was like, there is no hope. It's just going to keep going.
I did like the one scene where when they figured out the heart was for the Hart family or whatever it was. Right. She said, "Why would you abbreviate? You can write faster than the speed of sound."
Yeah, and I can make a pen float. Yeah, that's
right. That was a funny stuff. That was good.
Now, speaking of interesting things, Dr. Mohamed Noor, let's talk about you for a moment, shall we?
Sure. Not in the context of vision.
2020 vision?
No. I wear glasses.
Okay. Well, we'll move on from that topic then. But we all do have hindsight on 2020, don't we? Yeah. Anyway, so first things first, you are the Dean of Natural Sciences at Duke University. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Sure. So as Dean of Natural Sciences, I'm in the College of Arts and Sciences, which is where most of the undergraduate teaching at the Duke University and most universities it happens. And as Dean, I oversee the administration of 8 departments in the natural sciences: biology, chemistry, computer science, physics, statistics, math, psychology and neuroscience, and evolutionary anthropology. So there's faculty in each of those departments that, I end up working with and just trying to help them achieve their goals in terms of their research and their teaching missions.
Forgive my ignorance, but I'm very ignorant of very many things.
too.
You're the the dean of natural sciences.
Yes.
Are there unnatural sciences?
So my two counterparts are the dean of social sciences. So this would be like political
Got it.
science and economics, things like that, and humanities, arts and
Mhm.
humanities. So I don't oversee those departments at all.
Interesting. Okay.
Those are the unnatural sciences.
Hey, I'm an English major.
I love them. I love them. I'm teasing.
I kid because I love.
Yep.
So moving forward from that,
Sure.
you are now also a consultant on a very cool and beloved franchise. What can you tell us about that? And how long have you always loved this franchise? And would 12-year-old Mohamed be just blown out of his mind to know that adult Mohamed got this job?
Oh, answer the last one first, which is absolutely yes. So I've loved Star Trek since I was about 8. I think that was around the time I first saw it. Basically as soon as I saw it the first time, I was like, I want to keep watching this, and I watched it all the time. And then starting, I think around Wrath of Khan, I started watching everything as they came out. I mean, I wasn't alive when the original series aired, but everything from there, watched them all as they came out in college. So this was 88 to 92. I was in college. I remember actually talking to a professor of mine, asking, talking about career goals. And I said, it'd be really fun to help advise Star Trek on the sciences. I literally remember having this conversation.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And the guy's like, grow up.
Right?
The professor's like, grow up. Get your head out of the clouds, Mohamed.
Actually, my final professor, not that one, but the final one who I had my undergraduate thesis with, was a huge Star Trek fan. I still get emails from him all the time about Star Trek.
No way.
But yeah, now I'm very, very, very honored and privileged to be able to contribute to, most recently to the Star Trek Discovery Season 3 as a science advisor. So, and this was like a contract thing. It's not like a job. It's just something I'm doing on contract. So for example, Dr. Erin McDonald is the science advisor for the Star Trek franchise. She's actually on retainer with Star Trek. Wow. I like to say she's the sheriff of science in Star Trek, and I'm somebody who gets deputized sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah. But I got to contribute to that, and that was phenomenal to be able to have some role in that. And wonderful people to work with too.
Are you allowed to tell us now that this
Yes.
season 3 of Discovery has ended?
Yes.
Are you allowed to tell us an example of
Sure.
what they would ask you about?
Sure. So I had 2 main contracts and then a couple of just quickie things. Then one of them was on the burn, as you may remember from Discovery. So this was something I was doing collaboratively with Dr. Erin McDonald, because it obviously has physics components and biology components. And they said, we're going to have this Kelpian. He's going to be on this planet. He's gone through extreme grief. Somehow that grief is going to cause all dilithium everywhere to stop working. Science that.
Make it happen.
Yeah, right. So we came up, together working with the idea on this. I said, my goal was to basically try to make Su'Kal different somehow from other Kelpians. So, there's little bits of text that are inserted there about some epigenetic changes, and maybe he's a polyploid. The polyploidy aspect is interesting. So I don't know if you're familiar with what a polyploid is. So we all have,
isn't?
Yeah, right. We're all diploids. So DI for 2. Ploid for copies of chromosomes. So we get one set of chromosomes from our mom, one set of chromosomes from our dad, right? Polyploids get multiple sets. So they have more than 2 copies of all their genes. Now, there are a lot of species out there that you're familiar with are polyploids, like
Andorians.
Maybe. I don't know. We don't know.
Well, because Andorians, we know they have 4 genders, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I think all 4 of them need to mate to make a baby. Isn't that right?
Is that true for Android? I didn't remember that.
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm taking that 2 steps further, but I thought that they had to get all 4 together in order to. Anyway,
I remember there was that other species, with the cogenitor in Enterprise, that had the 3rd thing that was coming in there to help with it as well. But anyway, polyploids have more than 2 copies. But what you find is that in a lot of real world Earth species, we tend to find polyploids in extreme environments that are very stressful because of, say, drought or salinity, or I just say radiation. That's stressful too. So, I mean, what that does is it affects how much product each of the genes is producing, but there's also extra copies of all the genes. So if some of them get screwed up, there's another one there that can be used as a template for repair. So that was my argument for some way of making it so Su'Kal isn't just destroyed by this radiation after being there for 100 years when, Saru could only be there for a day and was already getting these sores all over his face.
Right.
So that's one example. Then we talked about the interactions. I won't go into that because that's more Dr. Erin McDonald's side. We went into the interaction with dilithium through subspace, and that's what caused the burn. So that was one. The other one was in episode 5. there was you might remember when they first got to Federation headquarters, there was that sick alien species there. And I was assigned to come up with, this was one that was more solo rather than collaborative, though Aaron had a different
Barzans, you mean? Or which?
Exactly. The Barzan seed ship, exactly. So, the sick aliens weren't the Barzans. There was some aliens on the space station who were sick. So the Barzans were like mostly dead except the one guy who was out of phase. But there were some aliens on the ship who were sick. And what they told me is, okay, these aliens have eaten something. What they've eaten has made them sick. It's a bad disease. It's not communicable. We need to be able to find a cure by going to the seed ship. So I suggested, why don't we have it be a prion disease? And then they mentioned some stuff about that, and then just scienced out the steps that would be associated with that. So
right,
that was really
prions.
Fun. Prions are terrible, by the way. Those are a horrible disease. Like if you go to the CDC website about prions, they're like, there is no way to cope with these diseases.
The worst thing about prions is the prion drivers. Am I right, guys?
They
always drive so slowly.
Not Prius.
So everybody in the comments section below.
Just tell us how terrible Ryan's jokes are today.
Oh, I love Ryan's jokes.
Thank you, Mohamed. But Michael's probably right. In the comments below, let us know what's up with Andorians. Somebody here is going to know what the story is with Andorians and their procreation. Also, let us know polyploids. What kind of stressful conditions can they be in where they can grow, like America? Also,
not that kind of stress.
Now, Mohamed, another very important thing going on in your life is now that Discovery Season 3 is over, you are no longer bound to not say anything.
As illustrated.
Yeah, right. You have your own podcast, and can you tell us about it?
Sure. So I've had a podcast going for a while called BioTrekkie Explains, where I just go over, some one or two science concepts using some random episode from somewhere in the Star Trek franchise. Now that Discovery Season 3 is done, I partnered with my good friend and Star Trek actress, Jane Brooke. And I asked her if we could go together over all the episodes of Season 3. And my part would be to talk about biology either in the episode or something in the real world that's kind of inspired by something shown in the episode. And she could talk about production aspects. Now, she wasn't involved in Season 3 specifically because her role was restricted to Seasons 1 and 2. But
she could talk about Admiral Cornwell, by the way, everybody at home.
Yeah. But she talks about just, her acting experience more generally and some of her experience with Star Trek more generally. It just provides a lot of really interesting insights about production and what happens in terms of putting something together like that. So we sort of take turns being mentor and mentee in these episodes. They come out every Sunday on my YouTube channel.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we will include that link in the description box below. So everybody check out Mohamed's podcast, BioTrekkie Explains, and also BioTrekkie with the Admiral, I believe, right?
Yep, very good. Thank you.
Sure. Because I remember thinking, is it BioTrekkie and the Admiral or BioTrekkie with the Admiral? Like one sounds like a buddy cop show, and the other one sounds like, hey, she's a special guest with me.
Yeah.
But definitely everybody at home, check that out. Mohamed is as pleasant as he seems in this thing. It is a consistent thing. It's not a one-time thing. And his show is awesome.
And always remember the 7th rule. Slip that in there.
Good point. That is a good point. So
hey, man,
to watch the first of things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also remember to finish off this episode about WandaVision, ladies and gentlemen. So the way we like to close it out is with something that Mohamed likes to call the bottom line. Now, Michael has really been making a long, concerted push to call it the Terrible Twos. Everybody in the comments below, what do you think is the best way to describe or the best title for this final segment? The Terrible Twos or the bottom line? And really,
I think I'm probably finally ready to give up on the Terrible Twos, and let's just call it the bottom line.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what they say.
No, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm willing to just forget about the Terrible Twos, that they ever happened, or that anybody ever came up with this terrible name for a terrible
totally
thing.
Agree, as long as the comments say that.
We'll just call it the bottom line.
Mohamed's like, God, I hate you guys so much.
I was trying to come up with a different name. I couldn't come up with anything else, like a twofer.
Or as Darth suggested, the final deuce.
Ooh.
So anyway, what it is, it's the final two questions
diploid
of the show.
The diploid.
If you're the right, that's a good one. if you just want to know what's the bottom line here, guys, what are the two final questions of the show that tell me should I watch this? Question number one, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, WandaVision, episode 1, entitled Episode 1. Scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
Well, for that very creative name for the first episode, title of the first episode, and so I've got to kind of talk my way through this a little bit and give both of you some time to think about what your scores are going to be, because I've kind of been waffling on this a little bit. Like, so
It's
first
toughy.
of all, you have to give it points because it's Marvel, number one, and Wanda and Vision are two pretty interesting characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I always thought that their relationship was interesting too. They're both
That's true.
kind of interested, what kind of one-off interesting characters. Like Wanda lost her twin brother. Vision never had any family. He's just kind of this guy that was created from nothingness and brought into existence from an Infinity Stone. And they both have very interesting powers, and so that in itself, just all that wrapped up already brings it up to at least a 4. At least just that alone brings it up to a 4. But then the execution of this episode,
So you're saying the floor is a 4. It starts at 4,
right.
and the execution is a 1 through 6 from there.
Right. Yeah. So, obviously Ryan thinks it's terrible, and I think that it was terrible
Maybe.
for a reason. I think that they purposely made it terrible,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that they succeeded at that. And so that gives it another 1. And I liked the mid-century feel of it. Not only just the furniture and the clothing, but just like the acting was on point too. So I'll give that another point. So we're already up to a 6.
It's interesting you don't
And-
allow anything to take anything down, and things only push it up. That's interesting in terms of your scale there.
that's an interesting point. Yeah. But I think I'll leave it at a 6. I think I'm going to give it a 6
Okay.
for this first episode.
Okay. Cool. Dr. Mohamed Noor of Star Trek and Duke University fame.
I think I'm going to be a lot more critical. I'm sorry. 'Cause, I mean, I feel like, if you have a show, let's say, for example, this wasn't true at all. Let's say, imagine the acting was terrible. I would be okay with going below the 4. I mean, it wasn't in this case, but in this case, I feel like there was a massive strategic mistake, in my opinion. Some people may disagree, in terms of not putting in more clues earlier on. I really agree with Ryan on that, because I actually didn't know. I didn't know where it was going. I thought, like, this is just going to be Bewitched again with maybe some subtle things happening in the background. Like, okay, I don't want to watch any more of that. I mean, I watched Bewitched, I liked it, and that's done. That time has passed. So I'm somewhere between 3 and a 4. I'll just go in the middle, 3.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
3.5. Let me make a note of this. These are good things. 6.
I mean, the
and a
acting was on point. I just feel like it was a
Oh, the
massive
acting's great,
strategic
yeah.
mistake. Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
I actually did something similar to Michael, where I was like, okay, this show, except I'm not going to give them points for standing on the shoulders of giants. Like, hey, Marvel's done amazing things, but I'm not going to give these guys points because Marvel. I'm like,
It's not fair to the new guys.
Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe they're still the same people doing it. I don't know. Anyway, so I actually did a very similar thing. But I started at a 1 because I was like, hey, this show freaking sucks. This is terrible, and I hate it, and I want to turn it off or shoot myself in the head. I'm just kidding. I don't advocate for violence. If I said shoot myself in the head, I would just mean like shake my Perrier and like,
Yeah.
So a 1, but I really liked the stop it scene. The stop. I was like, I could almost give it 2 points just for that, but I won't because that's ludicrous. Why would I give it 2 full points for 1 funny scene? I was going to, though, when I first saw it, but then I've talked myself off of that fallacy. But if I get that and combine it with a little bit of humor from the office talk and Also, I think this young lady nails it.
Yeah.
Way to go. I don't know if it's just her acting is 100% on point or if they just picked somebody that's perfect for this. Either way. So I will stick with a 3. I will let them work me up to a 3.
All right.
It's just terrible. Sorry, it's terrible. But now the second question is, let me make sure the world knows it's a 3. There we go. For the purposes of this podcast, we had to watch WandaVision. Now that the podcast is over and we are free to move about the internet, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the second episode?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Sadist.
Which is going to be hard because my wife
masochist.
does not want to watch the second episode. But I am definitely interested to see how they got in this world, to find out where this takes place in the timeline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and to find out like what's going on. How did they get there? Why did they put him there? What's going on? I'm interested.
Yeah. Mohammed, would you watch the second?
After seeing the first, my inclination was no, but I did Google and see that it's going to grow quite a bit from there. So I think I'll probably watch. So this is gonna be a funny answer. I'll probably watch the second, but I probably won't watch past the second because I already paid for the 1 month of Disney to watch
Disney
Mandalorian. So and I watched all Mandalorian a couple of weeks ago, and it's about to run out. So I might watch that tonight. Then I'll probably cancel my Disney subscription.
Unless it's really good, and then you'll be like, oh,
probably still
dang
not.
it.
Probably still not.
Maybe we'll see.
It'd have to be really good. I mean, to come after that first episode.
Yeah, you guys may find this a surprise, but based on this first episode and nothing else, I would not watch this first episode because I don't want to encourage this kind of behavior, where they think they can get away with this kind of filth and trick us huge Marvel fans into watching something that sucks. So I will root for it to get good. I will listen in. I will end up possibly watching it maybe if someday people are like, it's vital to the storyline of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There are things that happen, and then I would have like a negotiation with like, how many episodes in does it get good? How, but based on this first episode, absolutely not, no. Because it doesn't deserve it. I'm happy
What do you really think?
I'm happy for the lesson that it taught me, which is don't trust anything, even a well-trusted franchise. Anyway, moving on from that. Mohammed, it's been great having you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody at home, be sure to suggest something for us to watch, but be careful. We will be honest. If it's something you like, we learned that lesson with Babylon 5, right, Michael?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We weren't even
a lot of people learned that lesson from me, and
we weren't even that harsh on Babylon 5. We gave it between like a 4.5 and a 7, I think.
I was pretty harsh on it.
And you still gave it like a 4.5 or 5, and people were like, "You son of a." So anyway,
a lot of great franchises start off rough. I mean, think of like Star Trek: Next Generation. The pilot there, it wasn't that good. It was
right. Absolutely right.
But we are in the 2020s now, and so they got to come strong. But then it's Marvel, so I'll watch it.
The Roaring 20s. So, everybody at home, make sure to give us a suggestion in the comments below the comment section. Say WTF MacGyver or WTF
the new MacGyver.
The new MacGyver. Whatever you like, whatever your pleasure. And please be sure to give us a like, even if we shat on your favorite show, because, you still want to support people shitting, right?
Have you done Mandalorian?
Yeah. We did.
Okay, did Mandalorian. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an easy one.
That was number 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else do we do after this, Michael? We just...
this podcast.
Yeah, we just finished it off then. All right. So this podcast was a fun time with good friends.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
This This podcast was Ryan shitting all over this show, and me
It
trying
shit
to
on me
stick up
first.
for it.
It shit on me first.
This podcast was a very honest exchange of our thoughts. And
Yeah.
fun too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohamed Noor. Everybody be sure to check out his podcast. It's really awesome. You'll find it in the description box below. And watch all the other episodes we have. And as Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to remind us,
Don't forget to watch the first of things, even if they're terrible.
TM.